This is the Google Pixel 3, and I've been using it for about a month now, and the thing with the Google Pixel 2 was, the one before this, was I only bought it because everybody was talking about it, and I ended up loving that phone. Before I used it, I hated it, and to be honest, I hated it while I was using it too, but the camera on that phone was so good that it ended up winning me over all the way. So, when the time came for the Pixel 3 rumors and all that, I was really excited for the phone, and the 3XL was a huge disappointment. I didn't like it, and I decided to vote with my wallet and not buy that. I bought the smaller Pixel 3, and anyways, I was going to go for the smaller one, but I was thinking if the larger one didn't have a notch, I would go for it, but with the notch, it just looks ugly, and it came with a whole set of problems on its own. So, I kept the Pixel 3, and this video is going to pertain to the Pixel 3 only, unless I specifically mention something that applies to the 3XL differently. So let me get into why I love the Pixel 3. Number one has to be build quality. Build quality last time around wasn't that impressive. I absolutely did not like that aluminum with the weird coating on it. It felt like cheap plastic, and I absolutely hated it. I had it in a skin the entire time I owned it. It was only in the end, the last 1 month, where the skin kind of started to tear away, where I just let go and didn't care anymore. But that feel was so horrible, and they fixed it with this new one. It feels so good. The aluminum is really nice on the border of the phone. So the frame, I'm sorry. The frame of the phone is aluminum, back is glass, and the back has this matte, frosted glass, which feels really good, actually. I didn't expect it to feel so good. But once you get it in your hand, the entire experience is just so nice. And the smaller form factor of the 3 makes everything just, it's lighter, it's nicer in the hand, and I think that this has to be one of the better built phones of this year. So talking about that, let's talk about the form factor, which is number 2. The form factor of this phone is excellent. It fits in my hand perfectly. My finger lands perfectly on the fingerprint scanner when I'm holding it in a normal position. The screen is excellent. I can very easily use it with one hand. And with these phones getting larger and larger now, I am very clearly starting to see that my best area for screen size is 5.7, 5.5, something like that. Exactly in the range which the Pixel 3 falls in and the iPhone XS fall in. Because this is a perfect size in the hand. I think it gets the right amount of information in. And any larger, you're only getting the battery improvements, and that's currently why I use the larger phone, because of the battery improvement. But I think that the form factor of the Pixel 3 is on point. The 3XL I haven't really had in my hand, so I can't attest to that. But the form factor on this is definitely one of my favorite factors. Moving on, let's talk about the stereo speakers. There are 2 speakers on the front. They are facing you as you use the phone, and it is excellent. The quality is just perfect. I have not noticed any kind of issues with it. There is no jarring distortion of any kind. You can have it on max volume or low volume. Everything's perfect. One thing I will say, though, that I did notice that the bottom speaker is a little bit more powerful than the top. Generally, you don't notice it. I mean, you expect it in a way, but since both are firing at you, it just feels weirdly like the right is just a little bit stronger, especially when you're listening to content that was filmed in stereo, so you can hear things louder on this side, but not as loud on the left. Not the biggest deal, and 90% of the time you don't notice. It's that 10% of the time when you notice. So if the camera, the earpiece speaker was just a little bit louder, that would have been great. But nonetheless, this is one of my favorite parts of the phone. Moving on, let's start talking about the camera. And the camera, one of the favorite things that I like, I know Samsung does this as well, is the double tap on the power button to open up into camera. The phone, it's just, it is so easy to do that, because immediately, say it's in your pocket, you're pulling it out, your finger's already on the power button, you tap it twice, it's already ready to go as you have pulled it out of your pocket, and you quickly take the photo. Or you're in a situation, hey, let's take a photo, and you quickly do it, it's open, ready to go. You don't have to search for the app, you don't have to go swipe something up from the screen. It's just instant. That physical button is the fastest way, hands down. I know there's a lot of software shortcuts, even Apple with iOS. It's right there on the lock screen, but still that means you have to unlock the phone on the lock screen, swipe up or hit the button, and then again, this hardware, it's literally the fastest and easiest, most convenient way I personally have found to open up the camera app, and I wish more manufacturers would kind of implement this, or at least give us the option to select. Moving on, let's talk about the actual cameras, and let's talk about the front first. I love that it has 2 cameras. The dual front camera setup is so great. I love that it's got the wide angle, because in practicality, the minute I started using the phone, the first time it came time to take selfies with a group, immediately that front camera came into use. And this is probably the one feature they announced this year that I've repeatedly already used, and it is excellent. I love that. I mean, obviously there is a little bit of distortion on the extreme edges of the photo because it's such a wide-angle lens, but Google does software editing, and they do kind of make it look a lot flatter. But nonetheless, it's just so great. I will try to put up an image of me, a normal selfie with no wide angle, and then a selfie with wide angle, and you guys will be able to see how much of a difference it is. It's just amazing, and I really wish that Google would have applied this logic to the back as well, because I would have loved to see a wide angle lens on the back of this phone. If not wide, at least telephoto, something, but Google gave us neither. I'll talk about that in another video. So this is just, the cameras, as usual, excellent. Moving on, let's talk about the quality. The quality of the photos is just mind-blowing. I am seriously blown away. The Pixel 2 impressed me so much. It really changed my entire perception of how cameras work. For most people, they think that cameras all hardware, but it's not. In reality, hardware and software are both just as important. And I'd say now, with the way software is progressing, software is a little bit more important than the hardware, I think, because you can get away with mediocre hardware, but you can't get away with without this great software now, because it honestly just puts you in a different league altogether. So definitely the best phone to take portrait photos with, the blur effect. Now, it's not as natural looking as the iPhone, the blur. It is clearly a software blur, but the one advantage you do have is that the detection based on the software is so good. iPhone has tendencies to cut out my hair a lot of the time, because of the way I style it. I think that it gets confused. But with the Pixel, I have not had almost any issues with getting wrong blurs. You almost 90% of the time will get a perfect blurred image with, you won't be able to believe how perfect it goes sometimes. And it's awesome. However, I have noticed that it works best on people. When you try portrait mode on objects, it's hit or miss. But with people, it is hands down the best phone, be it front or rear camera. And wrapping it up with number 7 is Night Sight. Oh my god, Night Sight. Night Sight is magic. I don't know how else to explain it to you guys. When Google first showcased their Night Sight on stage with their cameras, they had this completely dark image that was the iPhone XS, and then they had the Pixel image, which is like, it looked like it was taken 3 hours earlier, before sunset. And when I looked at it, I was like, come on, Google, are you kidding me? Could you not do any better marketing? And because I thought it was fake, I didn't think it was possible. However, when I got it in my hands, when I started using Night Sight, it blew me away. I'm going to put up some samples. I'm going to put the non-Night Sight version and the Night Sight version here, and you guys can tell me for yourself what you think. I swear, this is no lights added, no nothing, just same photo, same time, one with Night Sight, one without Night Sight. The images are astonishing. Yes, Night Sight, the images are sometimes blurry, sometimes they're not in perfect focus, sometimes things are a little bit too noisy, but it's in a pinch, in a dark environment, it works too well to really complain that much, because it really improves the quality beyond what any other phone is able to do right now, and it does it all through software. All you have to do is just hold your phone. There's a lot of phones right now with this night mode feature. Everybody's doing it, but nobody is doing it as well as Google. And I've tried on the OnePlus as well, and I've seen it. The Pixel does a far better job at it than anybody else, and it's one of the reasons, this is more of a camera to me than a phone. The only reason I carry, I would much rather carry an S9 or something else along those lines, because I like the display on them. But because the camera is so good on this, I have to keep it on, because whenever I want to take a photo, it's generally this phone that I want to take it on. Certain situations it's the iPhone I do, but in most situations when I'm taking a photo, not video, this is the phone I want. And now I understand it. That's what I'm saying. When I didn't have this phone, I didn't understand why people were saying, oh, I keep this phone just for the cameras, because I thought the tech people who are reviewing this were stupid to let so many issues slide by just for the camera. But it wasn't until I experienced how great the camera was, I realized that those compromises are worth making. So that rounds it up for this video, guys. Let me know what you think about the Google Pixel 3. Definitely a much better version of the Pixel 2. A lot of things wrong with it. I'll talk about it in another video. I'll link it up here somewhere. But that's it for me, guys. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Look forward to hearing from you guys and having a discussion about the Pixel 3, because I'm still kind of in awe of some of the features. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.